What is the most depressing truth that you've had to accept? That good doesn't always win. Having right on your side doesn't mean you'll have the support you need. It really annoys me when people say things like karma will get them. And I'm just thinking, no, not really. Bad people can live long, happy lives and never face real consequences. And good people can be dealt the shittest hand and be forever fucked over with no justice through no fault of their own. Fucking depressing, but you can always try your best to support those who have been fucked over. There was a study done that proves this. They studied people in leadership roles and it turns out the bully in school has a much better chance at success than the bullied. Sometimes you're the annoying person everyone hates. I'd say this is the first step to fixing the problem though, is understanding this and why. Example, I knew a guy who we all thought was the most annoying human on the planet because he would argue everything. Sometimes he would argue just to argue seemingly. I like peanut butter jelly sandwiches. He would respond about how they are not as healthy as X sandwich or that it had inefficient calories or something stupid. Nobody wanted to talk to him. Eventually when we got to college he realized this and stopped. I haven't seen him in a while due to COVID, but he's a really smart guy and would be happy to catch up with him. This isn't to say to change your entire personality, but some things, like my friend's argumentativeness, are things you can work on that can fix a lot of these sort of social problems. Emo, don't lose hope that a few dozen people can destroy us all because they don't like each other. Wasn't World War I basically just a family feud? I think one of the leaders mentioned Grandma Victoria would have never allowed it to happen if she were still alive. That I'm unmotivated to do anything. I don't have personal desires and or dreams. I'm only living for the sake of others. I feel it would be selfish to just go, work, and that. Even if you give it all up and lived off the grid to exit the rat race, it's still a fuckload of work just to stay alive every day. Being human is taxing. I don't have any personal experience with this, but I think the person whose labor directly benefits them is probably a much happier person and work doesn't feel as much like work. Like I'm a carpenter. I'm fine with my job. But when I remodeled our kitchen that didn't feel like work. It felt like just completing a task which would make my life better. Ike, just my 2 cents. Off-grid is a ton of work. That my cancer is incurable and aggressive. And that I'm probably not even going to live to see my kids grow up and start their adult lives. It destroys me. My dad wrote in a notebook when his chemo stopped working. He wrote favorite stories and about what it was like for him growing up. His favorite memories of each of me and my sisters when we were little, etc. Love letters to my mom. It is a treasure. In addition to that, he wrote each of us a letter to be read only after he passed. It is my most valued possession that I own. It has been 2 years and that letter is kept in my fireproof lockbox. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I'm so sorry your family is going through this. My thoughts are with you and I'm wishing you all the best for the time you have left. That one person I wanted to help and couldn't, isn't going to change anytime soon. If ever, I have to accept that I can't help them, and let them go. Meaningful change can't occur until that person wants it themselves. I'm sorry for what you and that person might be going through. I may not understand your situation fully, but I hope that it all ends in a way that might be best for both of you. Exactly correct. It is sad but true. My wife never understood that you can lead a horse to water, city slicker. So I told her you can open a door for someone but it's up to them to walk through. Well, that clicked for her. As much as she wants to help folks, one can only do so much. As above, meaningful change can only occur when that individual wants it for themselves. That I will never get a chance to have any of my parents' amazing cooking or have another simple conversation with them ever again. That I'm not special. On one side, if you're not special, you don't owe the world nothing. Live your life. Find happiness in hobbies and friends. Enjoy your stay. On the other side, sometimes having the determination to embrace an idea is all it takes to make a difference. In good or bad. Of course, help your community. And you've done more than a lot of people do. That alone makes you special. That here and there we will be doing something for the very last time. That I'm lonely with no real friends. I thought I could be happy being alone. I thought the same too, and it worked to some extent for a few years, but I still prefer to be around friends and not be in some kind of virtual or long distance thing. That from now on I just work until I die. I'm just waiting for the day when they drag my lifeless body away from my desk. My mental illness does not have a point where it gets better and I don't have to suffer or struggle. There are moments when life is worth living, but they are fleeting. I understand what you mean. In a comment a few years ago, someone asked if depression gets better and I wrote that I wasn't sure. Maybe you get better, but depression is still there. ADHD's the same. You learn what works for you in the way of medication, organizational systems, self-soothing techniques, exercise, etc., and it definitely makes things easier, but in some ways it's also harder. Like just being this aware of everything and how high maintenance it all is. I kind of miss when my life was in shambles and I didn't know why, because at least that way I didn't really have to do anything. I just got to watch stuff fall over and get upset. Whereas now I'm technically in a better place, but I feel like I'm walking on a tightrope made of alarms and planners. IDK. Rough day, I guess. Literally my life. ADHD, depression and anxiety. I've got my life to a point where it's somewhat stable. But my God, is it draining. Every day is a constant struggle with my head. People seem to think I'm fairly normal now, but every ounce of energy I have is used to hold myself together and complete basic day-to-day tasks. I'm always on the edge of falling apart, but I can't allow myself to, as I have so many people who have helped me get to this point of stability, and I can't let them or myself down. Mental illness doesn't get better. We just have to learn to manage it and make the best with the life we've been given. NGL, I live in Germany. I have the same exact diagnoses as you. I got medicinal weed and poof, everything is gone. It doesn't take much to tip people over the edge. All throughout history, people have turned into barbarians because of hardship or rewards. And it's really difficult to come to terms with the fact that people in your everyday life could turn against you so easily. Starvation and desperation have pushed people into murder and cannibalism. Bribes have led decent people to forget their humanity. And the promise of power has made thousands of people side with groups committing genocide. Mob mentality has caused people to justify terrible actions. Anonymity encourages people to act in uncharacteristic ways. How can we take pride in our humanity and swear by morality when it's so easily forgotten? It hasn't been fun losing the naivety of my youth. Damn. Might grab a whiskey before bed. I was at the grocery store tonight to grab a few things. Watching the prices of things go up by dollars instead of cents over the past 2 years is seriously fucking with my grip on life as a whole. I can't afford shit and will continue to afford less and less shit. Probably until the day I die. This right here terrifies me. I'm about to move out of my house to go to college and I can barely afford gas right now. I'm trying to save as much as possible from my part-time job, but it is so damn hard. Watching necessities going up in price while I'm getting paid 13/H part-time is making me lose my goddamn shit. Top that off with college tuition and it is almost enough to put a gun in my mouth, but even that is expensive as hell. I will always have mental illness. I remember when I first started going to therapy age 16, and the behavioralist I worked with would say that my depression could be temporary. I completely understand why she would say that, but I always knew that wasn't true and I sort of just wanted someone to be honest with me. I'm 22 now and I recently saw a psychologist who recommended the form of therapy where the idea is that life is pain and you can't get rid of the pain, but you can work towards lessening that pain and still live a good life. I don't remember the technical word for that therapy, but the fact that it exists gives me hope, if that makes any sense. My mistakes will never go away. Money controls everything. Propaganda works. If people don't look for you, it's because they don't need you in their life. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes people diverge into their own comfortable, happy zones. It also doesn't mean you shouldn't reach out to them. Agreed. I think too many times I've worried I've been reaching out too much and felt annoying in the moment. But I've realized if they didn't want me there, they wouldn't agree to hang out or talk to me in the first place. After I was diagnosed bipolar 2, I had to come to terms with the fact that I will take medication every day for the rest of my life. It's been nearly 23 years now, and it has allowed me to lead relatively happy and healthy life, with a good job and a loving wife. This is encouraging to me. I was diagnosed 2 years ago and I've found the right medication regimen that keeps me level and functional. I just hope it continues to work for me. It took me a couple years to get the dosage right, and there have been a couple of times over the years that I've needed to have them adjusted, but by and large it has been a positive in my life. I also made sure whenever I was getting into any kind of relationship with anyone that I was very upfront about it, to keep either of us from wasting our time, and to give my partner the ability to put me in check and ask if I was in a shitty mood or if I hadn't taken my meds yet. Not everybody ends up getting the happy ending edit. I went to bed last night having one karma, and a novice understanding of Reddit, coins, awards, etc. I woke up to so many wonderful replies and my first awards ever. Wow. Also, I should have 1000% realized my word choice was less than stellar. Big oof. I will probably never own a home or have children, even though my childhood was spent being told that these are things all adults achieve. And I make okay money, but it's not enough to be middle class these days. I can't remember the last time I was genuinely happy. That love isn't transactional. You can't make someone love you by contorting yourself to be what they say they want or by giving everything even when you have nothing. I was raised to think love had to be earned. And, as fucked up as that is, I liked it BCZ. It gave me control. Like, I could make PPL love me. Then I grew up. It doesn't feel great realizing other PPL will either love you or not, but it's helped me find better boundaries in terms of my own identity. So now I don't bother with relationships I can't show up authentically to. In the long run, I'm sure I'll say that's a good thing, but it's been a hard pill to swallow. And realizing that I have little to no control and have had little to no control is rough. I don't feel happiness. That one day my parents will no longer be here for me. That I don't know how to process emotions.